my name is Stephanie Lee, and I'm the founder of Host Agency Reviews, and this is a presentation on the $100 marketing plan. So last week I was at Travel Weekly's Cruise World and did this presentation and decided to do a recording of it for those that attended that weren't able to catch everything because there's a lot of information, and also for those of you that weren't able to attend Cruise World, now you'll be able to access the information. Before we go into the heart of the matter, I wanted to talk a little bit about my background and kind of my site and where the idea for this presentation came from. So I grew up with a home-based travel agency in my house. My parents had an agency. I also was a director of a national host agency for 6 years before I branched off earlier this year to start my own company, which is hostagencyreviews.com. And what kind of inspired me to come up with the $100 marketing plan was at both of those businesses, I had a really small marketing budget. So at the first host agency, it was really just me for the staff for quite a long time. And there wasn't a marketing budget. I was building up the company, so there wasn't the money coming in to pay for the marketing quite yet. And the approach I took was one of just using the power of the web to build the company. And with that, we grew from around 30 agents when I first started to when I left the program, there being around 400 agents. So it was all very effective with not a lot of a marketing budget. And the same thing that goes on for Host Agency Reviews. When I decided to break off, I didn't have a huge marketing budget. It was really just me working on the site. And so I decided to take the approach again where I used online marketing. And to give you guys an idea, I've spent around $200 in traditional marketing, or really any type of marketing, and that was for some big inserts when the site launched and we went to Cruise World earlier this year. And since then, we launched in mid-May, it's about 6 months later, we now get around 10,000 visitors a month and about 20,000 page views a month. And that's all with really only investing $200, but I did invest a lot of time and energy into building up the site and using the web. If you haven't visited hostagencyreviews.com, it's a great website. It lists over 85 host agencies throughout the US and Canada, has over 500 reviews currently from agents on different host agencies, and it gives a lot of specifications and details about the host agencies. But there's another portion of the site that I think a lot of you might be interested in if you're listening to this marketing presentation, and that's the articles that I write. I focus a lot on things in the host agency space and home-based travel agency space, how to grow your business, how to start your business, and using marketing for a lot of that. So up in the upper right-hand corner, there's the newsletter sign-up button. And if you are interested, this is a great way to sign up and have it delivered, all of these articles right to your inbox so you don't have to keep visiting the site. So one of the big questions is, why do we market, or why do we need to market? Well, this is the big reason. Your phone is not going to ring by itself. And a lot of us that start up our small businesses, we understand that it's very, very difficult. Especially once we get into it, we realize really how difficult it is. And by not doing any marketing and not planning ahead and being very strategic in your marketing, you're making starting up a small business, which is already challenging enough, a lot more difficult than it needs to be. Because not only does this not ring by itself, this old-fashioned phone, but your new fandangled smartphones don't ring on their own either. So I wanted to start off and just briefly, I'm kind of a visual person, so I wanted to go into a marketing plan that for me works really well. It keeps me on target, it's very visual, and it helps out. So Michael Dell, the founder of Dell Computers, says basically you can't be all things to all people. And that's something that I think you should take into account when you're looking at marketing as well. For instance, in the travel industry, we talk a lot lately about how travel agents need to find their niche. And the same thing goes for marketing. If you're trying to market to everyone that's out there, it's going to be a lot more difficult for you, and it's not going to be relevant to a lot of people, so it's just going to be noise to them. But the more specific and strategic you are in your marketing, the more it's not going to be noise, and the more relevant it's going to be, and the more effective your marketing is going to be. So keep that in mind, and this marketing calendar that I'm going to talk about now is just a way for you to stay focused and hold yourself accountable. So the first thing is you need to find a focus. Some people don't like to use the preferred suppliers route anymore. They like to charge service fees so they're not held to any specific vendor. And that's perfectly fine. But if you are looking to work with certain preferreds and use the co-op dollars that will help pay for some of the marketing efforts, you really do want to choose just a few preferred suppliers, maybe one or two cruise lines, one or two tour operators that you're really going to work with, or hotel chains, or different destinations. And those are the ones you're going to focus on. They're not going to give you co-op dollars most likely right away until they see that you're actually producing and if you've put your own money in to try to promote them. One other thing I want to mention about co-ops is this plan is to help you plan ahead, and that's also really important if you want to utilize co-ops. And the reason is, right now it's November 2012, and all of the co-op monies for 2013 are already being allotted by the suppliers to the different agencies that are requesting it. So it's something you need to plan for way in advance. If in June of 2013 I decide I want to start doing a promotion for a 2013 Christmas group, that's great, but there's probably not going to be a lot of marketing co-op dollars out there for me, but there would have been if I would have done it a lot earlier and planned ahead. So one of the key things to do when you're doing this marketing calendar is to make sure that you're marketing all year. We all have busy and slow times, but we should be marketing through them no matter what. And so when I say market strategically, it means basically if, say, for instance, in Minnesota, Disney is really big here in the summers. Because it takes a flight, people don't just randomly take off for the weekend. So it's really the busy months are the summer. And what I would encourage you guys to do for your marketing plan is to go ahead and look at the data you've had in the past. And if you don't have any data, start collecting it so you can look at it to market more effectively. But you're going to look at, for the example of Disney, you're going to see when are they traveling. And in Minnesota, I can see it's June, July, and August is when it's really big. And then I'm going to look and see when are those clients, when are they booking, how far out. So they're starting to book in April. So I would want to maybe start advertising in March, April, May, and June. And those are the 4 months that I'm going to be promoting Disney. So that's what I mean by marketing strategically. And then to lay it all out for you so that you can hold yourself accountable again and also very easily access what you're going to be doing, here's kind of a sample marketing calendar. And attached to the article that this presentation is on, you'll find you can download this so you can have something similar. But you can see that through all the months of the year, January through December, I have something going on. And I've focused on only a couple areas. And in each area, the months that I've chosen, by looking at my data again, I've said I'm going to be doing email marketing here. Maybe I have a church bazaar here and I'm going to really be promoting it. Or you have a trade show that's going on and someone's going to be co-oping. So for Holland America, there's a trade show and they're going to be co-oping that as well as the direct mail pieces. So with this, you can print it out, put it on your office desk, and have a look at it all year round. What I would also encourage you to do is put it on your Outlook calendar or your Google Calendar and have it so it sends you reminders so that you know it's coming up and you can start planning ahead. Now we'll get into the 7 ideas for under $100 for your marketing. But before we do, I do want to mention I'm a huge advocate of online marketing, and it's obviously worked very well for me in the past. And I also don't want people to think that I'm not a believer in traditional marketing because I think there can be a lot of power in that. But the demographic that visits hostagencyreviews.com is people that are small business owners like myself. There's not a huge marketing budget, and there's not a marketing staff. It's you're wearing a lot of hats, and you don't have a lot of time. So that's why I opt for online marketing, because online marketing is inexpensive, and online marketing is also, a lot of times you can just set up, for instance, one of the things we'll do is setting up a profile on different review sites. And that's something you do one time, but it lasts, and it keeps going, and you don't have to really work at it. So the first one we want to talk about is if you're going to be doing online marketing, the first thing you need to do is let the web know you even exist. So if you have a website, you need to make sure it's listed by the search engines and that it's indexed by the search engines so that when people search in there and type in host agency reviews, your website actually shows up. So the thing that there's 3 big players when it comes to the search market, and that's Google, Yahoo, and Bing. Google is by far the largest market share. You can see that they have around 86% of the market share in late 2012. They're followed not very closely behind by Bing, but Bing does have 7%, and that's quite a big chunk of change. And then Yahoo is in there at about 3%. Now, the one thing to mention here is based on who your demographics are, Yahoo or Bing may actually have a larger percentage. So that's why you want to make sure you're listed on all three. Even though when you look at this, some people may be thinking, well, why would I list on anyone else but Google? And the answer is because why wouldn't you list on everywhere else? Because it doesn't take very long and you're reaching an extra 10% of your audience. So if you're not sure how to index your site on these search engines, what you're going to do is Google, how do I index my site on Google? How do I index my site on Yahoo? And it will give you a lot of step-by-step directions on how to do that. But there's another thing, I want you to take it a step further. Besides just making sure you're showing up in the search results and the search engine knows that you're there, is you're going to kind of see, it's kind of doing some competitive analysis and seeing what's out there. So you're going to be typing in keywords that people would be looking for, or you want people to be looking for locally for you. So for instance, best travel agent Minneapolis, cruise agency Minneapolis. Narrowing the funnel and figuring out what pulls up, and you want to make sure that your agency is listed in those certain directories. So for instance, I typed in best travel agent Minneapolis, and on the front page, doing some research, there's 3 sites that pulled up that I want to make sure I'm listed on. Angie's List, City Search, Yellow Pages, and that's just the first page. Go through a couple pages, type in a whole bunch of different variations, and see what pulls up and make sure that you're listed. You want to make sure you're not only listed, but that you're listed correctly. And then a lot of the directories that are out there that list these places allow it where you can claim the listing, and you can add pictures, you can add an About Us section, and you should definitely be doing that. That's one of those one-time things you do that's branding your agency and helping you to market and giving you a lot more bang for your buck. So make sure you're filling out all of those profiles. Now, an interesting thing, there's kind of 2 different types of search. So there's regular search where I type in travel agency, and the big players like Expedia and Orbitz are going to show up. There's no way you're going to pull up above them. But where you can pull up above them is if someone types in travel agency Minneapolis. And that's what's called a local search. So that's really going to be the target you're looking for. And for searches, about 20% of all searches done in Google, a recent study showed, are local searches. So someone's looking for something specific in their area. That's a big chunk. But the neat thing is, and this is what I want you to pay attention to, is that when that person is doing the search not on their computer, but on their actual smartphone, a mobile search, that jumps to above 50%. So what does that mean for you? Think about when you're using your phone. For me, when I'm using my phone, I'm looking for that restaurant, I'm looking for directions to the restaurant. I'm looking to see if the store that I want to buy something at is open at this hour, or if they have whatever I'm looking for in stock. So the people that are using their mobile phones and doing these searches, those are the people that are ready to buy and they're very prime candidates. You want it to be as painless as possible for them to call you. A few years ago, if you had to build a mobile site so that it looked friendly to these people on their small phones, it would have been pretty expensive. But enter Google. Google came up with this site called howtogomo.com. It's called Gomo, it's short for Go Mobile, and it will translate your site. You type in the address, and it will allow you to make it into a mobile site for free. It's a lot of travel agency pages are relatively static. They're not too complicated, and Gomo works fabulously for it. If you have a more complicated site, it may not be that easy, but I would encourage you to check this out. So anyone typing it in on a cell phone will see it in a lot more user-friendly format. Now the next one is online reviews. Obviously, I'm a huge advocate of online reviews. People count more and more on reviews when they're making their purchasing decisions. I understand that reviews can be very scary, but look at it this way. Businesses have always used word of mouth and testimonials as a way of getting other clients. It's the most powerful way. So think of it as a testimonial, but it's going to be online. And I know the scary part is that you can't control it. You're not choosing which ones get to go out there. But think of reviews as just a testimonial. And if you're doing a good job running a business, which I know that you are, then you don't need to worry. People are going to be saying great things about your business if you're taking care of your clients and you're doing things right. On the flip side, if you are getting some critiques from people, instead of being angry about it, if you're getting more than one and you're hearing the same thing over and over again, it really is, a red flag for you that you need to look inward at your staff and kind of see what's going on that are making people unhappy. So it's a great way of keeping a pulse on your business and how well you're doing with your clients. So there's two kind of review areas I want to touch on. The first is Google and Yahoo reviews. So these are, whenever you do a local search, it'll pull up the local travel agencies or whatnot, and there's a review areas. So here, I typed in travel agency Minneapolis, and again, this is a local search because I added Minneapolis at the end. And you can see right here, right below the ads, these are all local searches, and you see this 3 Google reviews right here. This is what I'm talking about. So this University Travel Service, when it pulls up, this is its profile page. They haven't done anything. They haven't, you can see, is this your business? What I want you to do is to find yours and manage this page. So you can add pictures, you can add all sorts of things, but you can see that they have 3 reviews. Compare that to Paradise Charter Cruises, and they have obviously managed their page. You can see there's the pictures. There's a lot of information. They have some words from the owner, and they have 3 very good reviews. So this is what I'm talking about with local results. And the same thing with Yahoo. I type in travel agency Minneapolis. These pull up, and you can see Mi Boleto Travel has done really well. And if we go to their page, this is what it looks like. And this is where you can edit your business details. So again, that's where I'm talking about uploading your photo with your logo, giving more information. They've added that they're part of IITAN, ARC, that they sell MLT vacations, putting in that sort of information. So what you can do is actually link to this page, copy this address, and ask your clients to go ahead and start reviewing you. Now Google and Yahoo are okay if you go out there and reach out to your clients and say, hey, listen, I'm trying to build up my book of business. I would really love it if you would share your experiences on your vacation to help me out. You can do that. You can put it in a welcome home note and put a link to your profile or profiles. You can put it on the itinerary. Letting people know that you're out there and prompting them to review you, you're going to have a lot more success than if you just sit and wait there for someone to randomly review you. And the thing with reviews is that's also really neat is they build upon themselves. If you have 15 reviews, you're going to pull up to the top and be a lot more attractive. And then the people, say like myself, that really rely heavily on reviews and write reviews, when I see someone with 15 reviews, I'm going to book with them. I'm going to be a lot more likely to go back and review you because I'm a reviewer. So it builds upon itself. It's a great marketing technique. Now the other one I want to talk about is Yelp. Yelp is, if you haven't gone to it, you can go to yelp.com and see. It's a review site. It's very strong in the restaurant arena, but it also is, for services, any type of service. So for a plumber or an electrician, you can review cultural areas like museums. So with Yelp, it's a lot more difficult because they don't want businesses to solicit reviews. They want them to come in organically or naturally. So Yelp is a lot harder to break into, but it's also an extremely, extremely strong and extremely influential network of people. With Yelp, it's very strong in urban cores. If you're in a more rural area, Yelp is probably not going to be a marketing technique you want to use. But with Yelp, what I would encourage you to do is if you are in an urban area, in a city where Yelp is highly utilized, I would encourage you to reach out. They have community managers and touch base with them and ask how you can get involved with a Yelp event. They have Yelp events, and that's who you want to get in with. Because the thing with Yelp is they have a certain algorithm they use that blocks and filters a lot of reviews. So if you're asking people and they're not really on Yelp and they only have 1 or 2 reviews, it's most likely going to get filtered and no one is going to see it. So you want to get in with that group of people that's always reviewing that isn't going to get filtered. Those people are very influential, and if they're reviewing you, it's going to build on top of itself. Now, if you're not entirely sold on Yelp, I just want to show you the power that it holds. So if we're on Google, and I type in a local search of travel agency Fort Lauderdale, Florida, all of these pink dots here are all travel agencies. Tons of them. If I go to Yelp and do the exact same thing, there are 12 results that pull up. That's your competition. And this is in Fort Lauderdale where we saw there were hundreds of agencies. And also on the left-hand side, you can see that number one, there's not a lot of reviews. Two, they're not very great reviews. And three, half of those 12 aren't even actual travel agencies. So there's huge potential there if that's something you want to tap into. This is an agency that has done it well. It's New Voyager Travel. They're out of San Francisco, and you can tell they've claimed their listing. They've got pictures up there, and below there's a little more personalized section from them. They have their business hours up here, and they also have 29 4.5-star reviews. So they've done a fabulous job if you want to be inspired. And social media eye candy. So this is really key, and I know that social media the past few years has been beat to death and probably into your brains and you're sick of it. And so I'll just spend a few minutes on this. The first thing I want to say is with social media, we are small businesses, and I know you're hearing there's LinkedIn, Twitter, Pinterest, Google+, Facebook, all these social media outlets out there, and that you should be on all of them. And the truth is, all of them have great potential and all of them have great markets to tap into. But in order to get the most out of working in these social networks, you need to be dedicated to them and doing them well. So it's okay, and know that it's okay, to only choose two that work with kind of your style, where you have an embedded network. You may want to set up accounts on the other ones just to reserve that spot if you ever want to do anything there, but don't feel the need to be doing 7 different social networks and spending all your time there. People love seeing that eye candy of beautiful beaches and whatnot, and travel agencies do a great job of when they're on a cruise line or when they're visiting a resort of taking these beautiful pictures that are mouth-watering to get people to know that they're travel agents and want to travel. But there's another key. This is the example. So this is not a beautiful resort, and this is not a cruise ship. This is an article that I posted up on my Facebook page, Host Agency Reviews, something that Forbes did on Hurricane Sandy. And what I did was I took a screenshot of the page with the big headline, really big. And I only have around 250 people that like my Facebook page. It's not a huge number. And I got 42 shares on it and 30 likes. Now compare that with a very well-established magazine. Travel Market Report is a fabulous publication. They posted the exact same article a few hours after me, and they had 2 shares and 6 likes. So what's the difference there? They took up a lot less real estate than I did. So I want to show you what I mean by that. This is the Facebook feed. I did an experiment the other night where I posted the exact same status update. We'll be presenting bright and early tomorrow at Cruise World, and then a link. And I did that again down here with a link to the presentation, except for a longer one. And when you look at these and see these in your feed, which one would jump out to you? So what I always do, and I would encourage you to do, is not just when you're visiting those resorts, but when you're talking about anything. When you're saying, I have a special for $3.99, blah, 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 put a pretty picture with it. So side by side, we'll see a bit of a difference. So on this left side, this is a picture I uploaded. I just did a screenshot. And on the right-hand side, I copy and pasted the URL, and this is what it automatically pulled. It's not super pretty looking, nor is it eye-catching. And the other thing is that this really long URL, it's almost longer than my status update. So what I always do is I also use a URL shortener just to make things look prettier. And the one that I use is Google's URL shortener. If you go to goo.gl, that's the URL shortener, and all you do is copy and paste the web address and it will spit out something shorter. And that makes it so, for me, it looks a lot prettier and it's a lot more appealing to click on. Now the next one is email marketing. And this one, if you aren't doing it, it's something that can be fabulous. Even if you've only got 20 people on your email list, that's okay. Like, that's how you build up your email list and start doing it. The key is you need to be consistent. So if you're not going to be consistent and hold yourself to sending out every Thursday or every other Thursday, then I wouldn't do email marketing, because just randomly spitting out specials isn't going to be that effective. It needs to be something that's relevant, and you need to put thought into it, just like any other type of marketing. Now for me, I use a company called MailChimp. These larger email marketing programs are fantastic because they have all sorts of bells and whistles, and they also integrate into a lot of other marketing programs. But what I don't see a lot of people using is this neat thing, and this comes free with MailChimp. And MailChimp also has a free program if you have, I think it's under like 2,000 users on your mailing list. So for most of you, that should be just fine. But the A/B testing is a really neat thing that MailChimp gives you for free. So essentially what happens, here's a screenshot. The left-hand side is Group A, the right-hand side is Group B, and it allows me to test different things. So if I wanted to test 2 different subject lines to see which one is more effective and gets a higher open rate, I just type in maybe the $100 marketing plan for one subject line. And on the other subject line, maybe I want to try 7 marketing ideas for under $100 and see which one is more appealing to people. Or I can change the content completely inside the email and see which one does better. But the key is I give 2 options, and I tell MailChimp, I want you to send it out to X percentage of my list. So let's say I send it out to 10% of my list. And then I can also say to MailChimp, I want you to wait X amount of time. So I want you to wait, let's say, 2 hours, and then see which of those subject lines or which of that content did better. Whichever one did better, then go ahead and send it out to the rest of my list. Now for you, this is something that will take you about 30 seconds to set up, and then from there, you're going to be getting higher open rates, higher click-through rates, just by having them do a small test and sample to see what's more effective. And then the other neat thing with email marketing is there's tons of analytics that come with it, and there's a lot of integration, as I said. And then those analytics that we're talking about, this is something that's key to online marketing. The beauty of online marketing is you can track almost everything. But what you need to do in order to do that is you need to install some sort of analytics on your site. There's something called Google Analytics, and it's a free program, but you do need to install it into your site. You can try Googling it and seeing if you can install it on your site, or you can hire someone to put it on. It'll be really inexpensive. It's a very simple task. Say, for instance, you're sending out an email, and you want to see how many people click on that link and visit your website. Well, the email marketing program is going to tell you, but maybe you want to track them more and see which pages they're visiting and how long they're staying. Well, with Google Analytics, you can do that by using what's called a campaign. This is amazing information and very valuable information as a marketer to help you do your job better. So some things you can do once you've installed Google Analytics on your site, you can optimize your most popular pages. So why is that important? Well, if you don't have analytics on your site, let's say you have 10 different pages, you don't know which one people are visiting more. If you knew which one they were visiting more, you could write better content. You could link to other pages to draw them in a little bit more to get to know you a little bit better. You can also find out, once you've installed Google Analytics, where some of your traffic is coming from. So how many people are coming because they've searched for you on Google, and that's how they found you? What keywords were they using when they searched for you? And you can also find out what websites are sending you visitors and how many. And you can tell what that set of visitors has done on your site. Do they stay long? How many pages do they visit? So you can tell the quality of the visitors that they're sending you and how engaged they are. So this is an example on my site. This is Google Analytics. And you can see that Facebook is a huge, so this is the number of Google organic searches. So people that have searched for something in Google and found me. But Facebook is a really great referrer for me. They stay an average of 7 minutes on my site, which is really long time. And they visit 3.5 pages on average when they do come. They also have a low bounce rate. And what that means is, a bounce rate basically means they leave the site right away. So it's a lower bounce rate. And then another one, I have a column with the travel research online. And again, they send me a fair amount of traffic. They visit 3 pages on average when they come, and they stay nearly 10 minutes on my site when they visit. While they have a higher bounce rate, they're also staying longer than anyone else. So then you can know where your marketing efforts are best spent. If I'm spending a lot of time on Twitter, but it barely sends me any referrals and they don't stay very long, I can either try to change something on Twitter, or I can not to spend as much time on Twitter. So that's the value in putting analytics on your site. And again, it's a free program. The other thing you can do is you can look at all the different pages on your site and see which stats are below average. So these are 2 of my pages on the site. And you can tell they get similar amounts of page views. But the one that talks about a travel agent career, people stay longer has a higher bounce rate though. So what does that mean? I can say, okay, I want to lower that bounce rate. I want to dig people in a little bit deeper. So I need to put more links and try to interest them in other articles. Same thing for how to find the best travel host agency. People aren't staying as long. Maybe it's a shorter article and I've said all that I need to say, but maybe I can do something else to keep them on the page a little longer. Maybe I can enhance the article. Now the last one I want to talk about is really just traditional advertising, but it's not going to be with direct mail pieces or taking out an ad in the Sunday paper. This is just being a walking advertisement, and it's very inexpensive and very effective. It's not a hard sale. It's not in your face. It's just a great way to get your name out there and to make it easy for people to approach you. So one of the ways that's really effective when you're marketing locally is to do something with your car. So if you haven't seen the Sandals car program, this is a picture of it, and you can tell these stick out. I used to have to drive one of these around, and whenever I'd go out to a friend's house or something, it was a source of conversation at the party, and people would be asking whose car that was because it definitely stuck out around everyone else's cars. Sandals car wrap program, you'll have to check in with your Sandals rep on it because I know they just changed their program and I'm not super familiar with it. But it is more than $100 because, you have to wrap the car and there's different things involved in co-op marketing dollars. But another option, if maybe you don't want something so flashy or if it's too expensive for you, is to simply put a magnet with your logo on it and your contact information on your car, or get someone to put some decals on your car that have your logo and your contact information in to let people know you're an agency. The one thing I will caution is just having driven a Sandals car or that has your phone number on it, is if you are an aggressive driver, you do need to be a much better driver when you do have these cars. Otherwise, people will call in on that number, and instead of booking, they'll be complaining about your aggressive driving. So another option that you can do, again, very inexpensive, is to invest in some t-shirts, some professional-looking t-shirts with the name of your agency, and a name tag, or just a name tag that has your name and that with your logo of your agency. Now the value in these is, again, anytime you're out, if you're wearing these on a daily basis, people are going to see it and get used to it. And there's also going to be people that feel really comfortable approaching you, like if you're in line at the grocery store and they see that you're a travel agent and maybe they were thinking about booking a cruise and want to ask you a question. It's a great door opener for conversation without you having to say anything. My friend Jeremy, who's in the lower right-hand corner, what he does is something kind of unique with his company, is he sends t-shirts to his clients. Not all of them, but to some of them. And he has them take pictures when they're on vacation with their t-shirts and ask them to, if they want to, and upload it to his Facebook page. So he's getting engagement on his Facebook page. But what he's also doing is giving an advertisement for himself to his clients so that if they do wear it, who better to give a referral and to talk about his services than his previous clients. So not only does he wear them, but he gives them out to his clients for a $20 investment or $15 or $10 investment. He's getting these walking advertisements. And then the last one I want to talk about is business cards. So with all of this money that we've saved you prior with online marketing, I would love to see every one of you, if you haven't already, to invest in some serious business cards. I can completely relate that when you start up your company, funds are really tight and money is flying out the window without a lot coming back in, if any. But those free Vistaprint cards or the $5 Vistaprint cards, these are things that you're handing people, and it's a lasting impression you're giving them. If you're giving them a really flimsy piece of paper that's from a generic looking template on Vistaprint or whatever website you're on, that's the statement you're leaving about your agency. So take the time to invest $30 or $40 to get a couple hundred decent business cards made. Now, one thing I also want to mention is to shop locally. I know it's very easy to get your business cards online, but just like we want people to shop locally, maybe try out your local printer and see what the price tags are. Maybe it's worth the extra $6, $10. Maybe they're the same price. And then the last thing on that going along with business cards is, again, with that money you've saved with your marketing, if you can, try to get someone to professionally brand your agency with a logo. Hire a graphic designer to come up with a logo and colors unique to you, and then have them design your business card for you to reflect your personality and what you want people to think of when they think of your agency. Being unique in your business cards is one of the greatest marketing things you can do. So that was our last one. Again, if you found this helpful, please sign up for our newsletter at hostagencyreviews.com. We send out a lot of good stuff. You don't have to come back to the site. We'll email it out to you once a month on the full moon. And then also keep in touch. If you're not a fan of us on Facebook, it's facebook.com/hostagencyreviews. And there's also my personal Facebook page up there and my Twitter account, so feel free to follow me on any of those. Or if you have questions or want to chat more, you can contact me online. Otherwise, my email address is there. So thank you so much, everybody. Hope you have a great rest of your day.